Hi, I am contestant number 15, Montana State of Mind. If you choose me to be your Miss YouTube 2024, I promise to not only bring this platform obscure information you never knew you needed, or wanted for that matter, but also an ever-growing platform of community knowledge. This is why I bring discussions I hope everybody can be a part of. I'm contestant number 15, Montana State of Mind. Thank you. Okay, so that was my attempt at a skip. But anyways, welcome to Montana State of Mind. I am Montana. Today's topic is one, oh boy, it is a scab I pick a lot as a feminist, as a Southern woman. As a feminist beauty pageant contestant and occasional winner, of which when I tell people I did pageants, just a few, I wasn't like a pageant girl. We'll get into it later. When I tell people I did pageants, they go, "Did you win?" And it's sometimes like kind of a read.
I'm a hair and makeup artist.
It's very easy, if you can imagine. Everybody loves to hate on beauty pageants. It's a female-centered hobby, therefore always open to criticism and hate, huh? And however, it is warranted to a lot of outdated sexist views, don't get me wrong. Again, we will get into this. But what brought me here is, despite everybody saying that they hate pageants and that they should be done away with, everybody has a freaking opinion on who wins one. Because recently, Miss Japan was the crown was given to a Ukrainian native. I'm really sorry if y'all hear click-clacking in the background. My dog can't find a couch to sit on and sit still. Anyways, Miss Japan was a Ukrainian native. However, she was Japanese. She had lived in Japan since I believe she was like 3 or very, very young. Was crowned, brought a lot of controversy from people who probably didn't even know Japan had a pageant. We won't get into necessarily the he say she said about it, because that's neither here nor there, because her crown was taken away due to an affair she had, which honestly, what is more Japanese? And also, the recently crowned Miss France was under a lot of scrutiny because her hair was short and people thought she looked like a boy. So again, for a hobby, a competition that everybody thinks is outdated, stupid, and a waste of time, everybody really likes to put their opinions on it, which makes me wonder if the hate is rooted in misogyny, whether you want to uplift women from this sexist parade of male gaze or not, you know? So, without further ado, let's discuss.
Here she is, folks. This year's Miss Bogan County, Miss Piggy.
It's a pig.
Now, as always in these, in my videos, we do a little history because you can't move forward without looking back. So we're going to do history. We're going to go into, of course, the Toddlers and Tiaras and teen pageantry, if you will. We're going to touch on some famous people who you might not have known were pageant contestants, if not winners. And controversies, of course, we're going to touch on swimsuits and bikinis. Obviously, get onto the downsides, but also the rooted hate for it, that no matter what, you can't win even when you win a pageant. Rooted in misogyny and sexism, and also the future of pageantry, because I'm not really sure what's going to happen to it or where it's going to go. So, here we go. European festivals dating back to the medieval period provide the most direct lineage for beauty pageants. For example, English May Day celebrations always had the selection of a May Queen, very midsummer, which I think really encapsulates kind of my rage for how people hate beauty pageants, in the sense that, much like Florence Pugh, I just want to scream while wearing a crown, surrounded by other screaming women. The May Day tradition of selecting a woman to serve as a symbol of beauty and community ideals continued as young, beautiful, unmarried women participated in public celebrations. A beauty pageant was held during the Eglinton Tournament of 1839, organized by Archibald Montgomery, 13th Earl of Eglinton, as part of the reenactment of a medieval joust that was held in Scotland. The pageant was won by Georgiana Seymour, and she was proclaimed, quote, Queen of Beauty. Beauty contests became more popular in the 1880s. In 1888, the title of, quote, Beauty Queen was awarded to an 18-year-old Creole contestant at a pageant in Spa, Belgium. But even back then, guys, these events were not regarded as respectable and were highly criticized. We will see here that beauty pageants have always had haters, and rightfully so, because a lot of the origins were rooted again in male gaze and feminine traditions chosen by men. But let's continue. In 1880, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, held the first recorded, quote, beauty pageant in the United States, searching for the most beautiful unmarried woman in our nation, and awarding her the title of Miss United States. Beauty contests came to be considered more respectable with the first modern Miss America contest. The pageant is still obviously in operation today, known as the Miss America pageant, which was organized in 1921 by a local businessman as a means to entice tourists to Atlantic City, New Jersey. 16-year-old Margaret Gorman of Washington, D.C. was crowned Miss America in 1921, having both won the popularity and beauty contests, and awarded $100. The popularity of the Miss America contest prompted other organizations to establish similar contests in the 1950s and beyond. Some were significant, like Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss Earth, and some not, such as the National Donut Queen.
Well, Butter Queen was our town's highest honor. From the time I was born, my folks groomed me for it. Singing lessons, dancing lessons, junior butter pageants. For 16 years, my entire life revolved around butter.
The Miss World contest started in 1951, Miss Universe in 1952, and Miss USA as well. Miss International started in 1960. Miss Asian Pacific International, which started in 1968, is the first and oldest beauty pageant in Asia. The Miss Black America contest started in 1968 in response to the exclusion of African American women in the Miss America pageant. The Miss Universe organization started the Miss Teen USA in 1983 for the 14 through 19 age group. Miss Earth started in 2001, which channels the beauty pageant entertainment industry as an effective tool to actively promote the preservation of the environment. These contests continue today. So how do pageants work? Let me tell you, because it's actually really complex and it changes with every pageant. I feel like with sports, the rules are going to be the same no matter the levels, no matter the location. You know, football's always going to have the same football rules. Baseball is always going to have the same baseball rules. Pageants, however, do not. It really depends on the community that is creating this contest. But majority of pageants run like this. So beauty pageants are majority unwed, childless young women. I will get into the child beauty pageants a little bit later, but for right now, I want to focus on kind of like the Miss America young women level. So there will be different categories that a contestant will compete in, with an elimination usually after each category, dwindling down the number of contestants. For example, you will usually have your first round of preliminaries, which is going to have all of the contestants in the same outfit. And what they will do, they will usually do a dance or a skit or something. And the judges will literally pick the contestants that catch their eye. And it's at least fair in the sense that everybody is wearing the same outfit that is usually given to them by the organization. as a means of kind of fair play to cut down to those core contestants the judges are very interested in. Next, you will have sometimes the swimsuit category, which is very controversial, or maybe a casual wear category. Again, just a means to eliminate more and more. The other categories may include, but are not limited to, like talent portions. If you are in the Miss America circuit, evening gowns, everybody loves that category, etc. You know, Q&As, interviews, all that good stuff. Finally, when you have whittled it down to a select few, you will then award third place, maybe third, not a lot do thirds, but third, second, first runner up, okay? And then the crown. Now, the reason it's not crown, second place, third place is because if the crowned winner cannot perform her duties, the first runner up is then bumped up to the crown. And it does happen more often than you think.
You're standing on stage with a crown on your head, singing your song, and someone yells out, "You ain't the real Miss America anyway." I just smile and wave. In the inside, I am torn.
Well, I was in the whole reputation I'd worked 10 years for. He didn't win Miss Gay America, I did. So he wasn't the one embarrassed in front of the whole community, I was.
There are also side competitions such as Miss Congeniality, which is an award based on the votes of your fellow contestants. There's also like best photo and best eyes and all kinds of crap. Now keep in mind, not all beauty pageants have these categories or base their crowns on simply beauty. For example, many Native American pageants base their categories off of things that are important to their community, such as beadwork. I've seen some where they skin rabbits and they're timed, dancing, language speaking, very important roles in the community and tradition. Another example, in a lot of rodeo pageants, horsemanship, obviously, you stand in the rodeo circuit, a lot of barrel racers, you know, their standings. Your horse, along with yourself, is judged.
A lot of people assume, oh, you listen to country music. I don't listen to country music. I love rap music. I love Eminem. Before I rodeo, before I run barrels, that's what I listen to.
She a beast. You ain't never heard nothing like this. She a beast. With that, excuse me, let's go. Everything that we do is for this music. Let's go.
It really just depends on the community and what they're asking of you, because you are, again, not only trying to represent, in the past you were supposed to be the prettiest girl, but we will soon discuss how that has now changed to you literally have to represent the ideals of that community, whether it is a Samoan beauty pageant, whether it is a Native American, Black, Miss Donut Queen, you know. And I want to take this time as to say beauty pageants nowadays are held to a huge standard. It is, you in a lot of beauty pageants, now I'm not talking about your Miss Donut Queens, okay, your Miss Buttermilk Balls, whatever. I'm talking about the important ones, the Miss, you know, Miss America, Miss USA, whatever. It is not enough to enter those competitions just being pretty. The requirements are almost the same as applying for college, if not harder, because college doesn't ask for your photo half the time. So you have to maintain a very high GPA. You have to maintain a role in your community and hours of community service. You have to usually you have to go to college and also, you know, be a valedictorian. Like, you have to be outstanding in not only your community, your school, but your state. If you're at a state level, you have to be very involved. Like, if you are Miss Louisiana, you have to be extremely involved in not only Baton Rouge or the capital, but literally every other parish. It's a lot for a young woman who is trying to maintain her grades, her sports, her extracurricular activities, whatever. And we will get into later how a lot of people feel entitled to tell you how they feel about your winning or not winning. I was telling my husband kind of the requirements for most important beauty pageants. And he was like, wow, I had no idea. I thought you literally just had to be pretty. But no, it is a lot of work. When you watch Miss America and they list off all of the bulletin points of that woman, it is insane. You know, they're in doctorate level, like important microbiology, astrophysics. Like, it's not just like she majored in home ec. It is a lot of, these are very intelligent women. They are also very active, obviously. So they have to maintain triathlons, swimming, tennis, whatever. They also have to have a talent, so they usually play a musical instrument. They speak multiple languages. If they are religious, they are at the like paramount of their religious organizations. Again, it is so much more than just being pretty. You have to be perfect. Real quick, just some fun stuff before we get into the more heavier things is some celebrities you may or may not have known were pageant girlies. We have Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman. She was Miss Israel. Priyanka Chopra, famously Miss World. Halle Berry, she was Miss Teen All-American, Miss Ohio USA, and she was the Miss USA first runner-up. Eva Longoria was famously Miss Corpus Christi in the USA category of the pageant, and then she went on to go into the Miss Texas pageant. Vanessa Williams was Miss Syracuse, then Miss New York, and then she won for the first time. She was the first Black woman to win the Miss America pageant. Famous comedian Jio Ying Summers was Miss China. Oprah Winfrey was Miss Black Tennessee. Michelle Pfeiffer was Miss Orange County. Matthew McConaughey was Little Mr. Texas. There are male beauty pageants. Chelsea Handler was Miss Teen of America. Linda Carter, another Wonder Woman, was Miss World and Miss Arizona prior to that. Vanessa Lachey was Miss Teen USA. Diane Sawyer was America's Junior Miss. And then just some other pageant contestants were Selena Gomez, Britney Spears, Tiffany Thiessen, Carrie Underwood, Vanna White, Katy Perry, and Sophia Loren.
And they called her Aurora.
So now, of course, if we take a little dive into the negatives of the beauty pageant world, because of course anything majority women based will have lots of backlash and criticism, even if the contestants enjoy it. Much like my horse girl video, if women want to compete in a beauty pageant or enjoy literally anything, they are seen as vapid, bimbos, male gaze, airheads. And if they don't want to compete and they have a problem with it, they are seen as pick-me girls who are just jealous and, oh, you're just mad because you wouldn't win one. It's really, damn if you do, damn if you don't. But we all know that this channel is all about feminism. And what is feminism? Choice. So let's go ahead and knock out a lot of these controversies while we're in a very angry space. Toddlers, teens, and tiaras.
I don't want to be a loser.
You're not a loser. Where'd you get the idea you're a loser?
Because Dad hates losers.
Whoa. Back up a minute. You know what a loser is? A real loser is somebody that's so afraid of not winning, they don't even try. Now, you're trying, right?
Yeah.
Well, then you're not a loser. We're gonna have fun tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when I was telling my friends that I was going to cover beauty pageants, they immediately, and these are women, this isn't just like dudes or whatever, but these are women. They immediately were just like, oh my God, the pedophilia, the little girls in swimsuits, the Brooke Shields of it all, if you will, of which they're absolutely correct. It is disgusting to see the choices grown parents make on their children, because keep in mind, these little girls they're not picking out what they want to wear despite what their moms tell the cameras. These are grown adults that are in charge here of the entire space, the competition, the judging, the costumes, the makeup. All of the choices are made by adults. But a lot of people like to put it on the kids. But anyways, these adults, these women usually are putting their daughters in very adult grown situations, to which I do have a problem with. And they put a lot of pressure on these little girls and a lot on the idea of beauty. And if you are in the pageant world, I think you can understand when I say this. And to those who aren't familiar, the Toddlers and Tiara girls do not grow into Miss America contestants. And the ones that grow up doing these pageants at this John Bonet level do not grow into the women who become Miss America, Miss Texas, all of these things, because the jacked up hair, the way they walk, the gowns, just that whole subculture of pageantry does not translate to what is asked of Miss USA, Miss World, Miss Universe. When you get these Miss Universe contestants or Miss World or Miss Japan or whatever, very rarely, not all the time, but like very rarely, did they grow up doing pageants. Maybe as a teen they did when they grew after puberty, but pre-puberty, a lot of these girls never did a pageant. And it's just kind of odd because so many of these Southern moms, let's be honest, there are a lot of Southern moms that do this, think that their little Heather Lynn with her giant beehive hairdo and her spray tan is just going to coast this little Miss Supreme title into, Miss West Virginia. And that's just not the case. So it is in the pageant world, a lot of the grown adult pageant winners and contestants will be the first to tell you they do not implore nor find it necessary to have child pageants because of the pressures we will later kind of put onto the women who win or even compete in these things. But I want to point out that the putting the children in grown situations, outfits, pressures is no different than the parents that put their prepubescent sons in travel ball and workout regimens and dietary restrictions. So I ask kindly that if you criticize child beauty pageants, which you should, they're unnecessary because they don't really lead up to grown beauty pageants, much like travel ball does not always grow into a Major League Baseball contract. But these adults who miss out on these opportunities when they are older, then put it on their, again, children. And you have little boys and girls being surrounded by unvetted adults. If you've seen the Quiet on Set documentary about Nickelodeon, child stars are under the same thing. If you're putting these children surrounded by adults with no background checks, and even if they are, they're ignored, as we saw with Brian Peck being hired by Disney after his court case, and the adults ignore, if not almost like fan the flames of the dangerous situations and the mental and physical abuse these kids go through. Honestly, Boy Scouts, young children in church, camps, again, I've seen more sexual assaults in Little League hockey locker rooms than a child beauty pageant. However, I'm not saying that, it's never, I'm not trying to say that it's one or the other. I'm just saying if you're going to criticize one, you must criticize them all. And I just feel that because little girls are enjoying this, because women are enjoying this, it is under such a microscope that no one bats an eye at Little League baseball and football and these boys that have not achieved puberty banging their skulls together, their dads screaming at them. They are constantly at practice, losing sleep because they're traveling to achieve what? Nothing. they're not going to be signed. I hate to break it to you. Your kids are not going to be signed. But giving them a job, essentially, just the same as these moms give these daughters jobs and put this pressure on these daughters to be perfect. And again, it doesn't even translate into the Miss America or Miss USA or the older categories where intelligence, community service, and other accolades are rewarded instead of just a spray tan and a fake set of teeth. I also think there is privilege in travel ball and beauty pageants that a lot of white children are rewarded for, because let's be honest, it's very expensive to do either one of those things. And it could be rooted in very old racism. We have seen a lot of controversies of young Black girls entering these pageants in these spaces that are, let's be honest, usually white girls winning, and the classiness that follows. Or in the other way of a lot of Latino young men joining travel ball, little leagues, and a lot of white dads getting really pissed off about it, let's be honest. I understand the negativity with child pageants. It is not lost upon me, but please bring that energy to other youth activities where adults are putting their children's bodies and minds in grown situations and leaving them in situations that could put them in danger. Because if you're going to get mad at child beauty pageants and want to outlaw them, then outlaw child actors, outlaw youth sports. Not youth sports, but this travel ball crap that we're seeing. It's too much for any child. It is up to the adults in the room to handle this, and we're punishing the kids. And I know what you're saying. Another accolade with this is, well, it teaches little girls that if they don't win, they're not pretty. Okay. So when your son doesn't win a baseball game, do you tell him, wow, you're really bad at baseball? No, you tell him hey, this happens. This is a lesson in humility and learning. Not everybody wins. And that's the same energy you're supposed to bring. And I'm not even going to say these kid beauty pageants, because again, I'm not super for extremely young elementary school age girls in beauty pageants. This is a personal vendetta, but when I started, and I won't even say I did pageants, because in my hometown, to be considered a pageant girl, you were doing them constantly. I did the ones that my schools held. I did my middle school and my high school, because that's what just all the girls did. And I wanted to hang out with my friends and have this fun night where we got to dress up and be pretty, much like young girls do. Now, there were girls that took it very seriously because their moms did pageants growing up and put a lot of pressure.
What are you looking at, huh? A whole goddamn town full of losers, that's what I'm looking at! And you piece of shit trailer trash, that should have been you in there!
But more often than not, we just wanted to dress up and do our hair and makeup and then go out to eat afterwards. Luckily, me and my friends we had pretty laid back parents that really just was whoever wins gets to, pick the dessert. It wasn't a huge thing. And I think that's how you need to approach child youth activities. But I will say there were girls that took it very seriously. And when I won, again, when you win, people get very upset. And you as a young girl, even at a high school level, I think I was 17 or 18 when I won the last one I ever did. I only did 4 beauty pageants my whole life. And when I won my high school beauty pageant, people were awful to me. Even the woman who created the pageant proceeded to make my title a living hell for a year, because she didn't like that I won. I wasn't her favorite student and I wasn't her favorite person, and so she made the duties that I had to do astronomically more difficult than the previous winners. But anyways, when I won, keep in mind, 6th grade, 8th grade, high school, people in my town would make it their vendetta to come up to me and tell me I only won because I'm very good on stage. I don't get stage fright. I speak clearly. I have confidence when I talk. They only told me that I won because I gave good answers during the Q&A portion. They only told me I won because whatever stupid reasons. It was usually because, like I said, I don't get choked up on stage like a lot of other girls. Like, God forbid you be rewarded for being witty and clever. But again, it was the adults. And my peers didn't really care. None of us really cared. None of the guys gave a shit. The girls, there were jealous girls, but only because, again, their mamas kind of instigated it. But yeah, to win a pageant is not really the awesome thing you think it is, unless everybody really likes you. And if they don't like you or don't agree with your win, they will definitely walk up to a 6th grader and take your crown off your head and tell you you shouldn't have won. Which you're saying, see, beauty pageants are bad, Montana. You wouldn't have had to go through that if you hadn't have won or competed. But I honestly enjoyed the dress up and the memories of me and my friends singing Stacy's Mom, holding hands as they were announcing winners. Way more than I ever did like the negative grown adults in the room that wanted to pick on a fucking teenager. It's kind of crazy how the pageants are usually so serious and oh my God, it's the beauty pageant. Here we go. Who's going to win? And then when a girl you don't necessarily agree with winning wins, all of a sudden, oh, it's no big deal. It's just a stupid pageant. Who cares? Also, God forbid you do a pageant in your life. Again, I've only done 4 in my whole life. And I am forever labeled a pageant girl, which compared to the professional pageant girls, I'm just kind of like, what? But I hope to be in the category of pageant girls like this famous TikToker. She was the previous Miss New York, and I find her extremely hilarious and clever.
Okay, gonna put you on hold while I assist a client really quick. Thank you so much. Hi, thanks for waiting. Welcome to heaven. What would you like a ghost outfit to be? Okay. And then, I'm back. Yeah, no, they got resuscitated, so. I know, just poof.
And I love that she is both a pageant girl and hilarious and like just and gritty and just shows that like, okay, so what? We competed in pageants. Like, and I'm saying we, like she's a Miss New York and I was like Miss of my high school. Jesus Christ. But you get what I'm saying. I'm just like, again, it's just kind of labeled in misogyny. If you win or even compete in a pageant, you're all of a sudden this vapid bimbo of an idiot. And we're actually really funny. Again, I can't imagine that Tom Brady is held to the same scrutiny and standards that Miss America is, because to be a quarterback, you literally just throw a ball and the whole town loves you, if not the tri-state area. Whereas if you are literally Miss New England, you have to do so much for that community and be at every event and have perfect grades and be a huge lawyer in training and be thin and, you know, practice this and play the violin and also do karate and do women's rights and say the perfect political things. And it's almost, again, as if it's rooted in heavy misogyny and sexism, even on a new liberal progressive like platform. Pageants are used a lot of the time, how I use them, in a practice of poise, confidence, stage presence. Again, a lot like theater and sports, but because it's evening gowns and crowns, it's all of a sudden stupid. Now, what is kind of stupid, much like the prepubescent girls in pageants, is the bikinis in pageants. It's very mixed. And do know that throughout history, literally when pageants began a bikini category, it was met with a lot of criticism for obvious reasons. For example, within the Miss World pageant, The first winner from Sweden was crowned in a bikini. Countries with religious traditions threatened to withdraw delegates, so much so that Pope Pius condemned the crowning as sinful. I wish the Pope commented on my winning. Swimsuits toned down to more modest designs in the 1950s, and in 1996, Miss World was held in Bangalore, India, but the swimsuit round was shifted to these. Because of intense protests. In 2013, the swimsuit round was dropped because of Islamic protests in Bali, Indonesia, where the contest took place. In 2015, the entire beach fashion segment of the pageant, again in Miss World, was dropped. Now in Miss Universe, in 1952, bikinis were completely banned. And in 1997, they were allowed again. That's a huge gap, okay? In 2021, bikinis were made optional. Contestants are allowed to wear burkinis during the swimsuit competition. In the Miss Earth, however, which is odd because that's like a very green pageant, the beauty of form and figure preliminary judging in 2017 was introduced, where delegates walked in white two-piece bikinis, but their faces were covered with a white veil to focus the judgment on the body figures of this portion, and that is obviously wild. Now, to bikini or not to bikini? That is the question. It is super much like the body positivity movement and feminism. Like, it is so weird because it's like, let it be bikinis, but the bikini body is literally any body in a bikini nowadays, rightfully so. But depending on your country and your community, it could bring a lot of, again, comments from strangers. For example, Miss South Korea in 2018 was faced with a lot of backlash due to her crowning because she was seen as too curvy in the bikini portion of the competition, because in the South Korean beauty standards, she was deemed as fat. And obviously to other people, we are just like, what? And then, however, in recent years, we had Miss Nepal in the Miss Universe contest go viral for her bikini body, as she was the first, quote, plus size contestant in the competition. So it can be, much like with a lot of body stuff, is it's both degrading and uplifting. Like, none of the competitions I ever did, because they were so young, I was like in middle and high school, none of them had a bikini portion, luckily. And a lot of pageants are doing away with it because it's so shrouded in controversy. I think like we see the same conversations being had with like Victoria's Secret models. Remember their runway show? And how is it's like male gaze, but it's also like super fun and fantasy. And I can't help but notice that a lot of male bodies are not put under the same microscope. A lot of different male forms are celebrated no matter what, whereas women, we're too curvy or too thin, or we don't represent the ideals of that country, And I'm not saying that male body shaming does not exist. Again, I have sons and I am already seeing them kind of go through their own body dysmorphia. But let's be honest, women in bikinis, like, again, my own personal experiences, I have been asked to wear a t-shirt in every public pool I've ever entered. And when I was a swim instructor, I had to wear a huge rash guard because I am busty. And my body, if there was a swimsuit competition in a pageant, I would not do well prior to modern times because my body would be seen as lewd, much like Miss Korea in 2018. Hips and large breasts are seen as sexual. That could also be rooted in racism against cultures with thicker hips and breasts as seen as vulgar. The beauty standard has been thin white women for so long that I'm glad that it's now kind of changing. But it's not necessarily changing for the better, because now you have to have large boobs and a large butt, but like an itty bitty little flat tummy. And it's just like, okay, who has that? So the new pageant world, it is still really quite the roller coaster, if you will, because you do still have a lot of those antiquated beauty standards, but luckily it is changing for the better on the grander scale. We have a lot of LGBTQ contestants, not only competing, but winning and showing that feminine beauty is not always necessarily, tied to what gender you're born with, and that it can be celebrated in many forms. Even in the drag world, there are trans and biological women competing in drag pageants. Which is causing quite a stir. So it just seems that they're in the pageant world, whether that's like drag pageants, butch pageants, gay pageants, your standard biological like Miss America women pageants, the rules are changing and updating to where it's not necessarily the sex of the contestant that matters, or the gender, because let's be honest, what does that have to do with what you're doing on stage? But who represents that community best, and who the community wants to represent them. It's still an ongoing topic, but the tides are changing. But again, back to your stereotypical Miss America, Miss USA pageants, the winners are not only again supposed to just be, stereotypically feminine beauty, but also hold master's degrees, be pillars in community, have a movement or a charity that they are the leader of. It's so much more now than just having nice legs and a great smile. During the civil rights movement, the Miss Black America pageant had a standard that you had to have like a civil rights platform to represent. You couldn't just be like a gorgeous Black woman. You also had to be fighting for your community during one of the most dangerous times in America to be a Black woman. The future of beauty pageants, I'm not really sure, because again, you would think that they would be dying out because no one really cares anymore. And yet, as we have seen with Miss Japan and Miss France and Miss Nepal and Miss Korea, everybody has an opinion on these contestants, despite not giving a crap any other time about them. I don't think they're quite as popular, but again, they're under this watchful eye of the public for some odd reason. I personally hope, and this is my pageant answer, I personally hope that the future of pageantry becomes more of a practice of poise, stage presence, and fun, inventive fashion for all kinds of people, versus biological women competing in who looks feminine enough, the performance of being a woman. I'm hoping, much like being a stay-at-home mom versus a working mom is not pitting women against each other anymore, and it's all about choice, and no matter which option someone chooses, we will support no matter what. If you want to walk on stage representing your state in a gown, I will cheer you on gladly, because that takes a lot of bravery to put that microscope upon you, and to have literally everybody in your country or your hometown or whatever feel that they have the need to comment not only on your body, but like literally everything else without knowing anything about you. It takes immensely thick skin and courage again. And if you don't want to do pageants, I applaud you as well, because you can choose to represent your community or your hometown or your state or whatever in literally any other way you want to. That's just how the world is now. There is no end all be all definition to anything ever. The encyclopedia changes the meaning of words all the time. History is being updated constantly with new information, and sociological norms are changing constantly. The rules of sports change with new medical information and are updated. So why can't this tiny little world also update and renew itself into something else? Why can't beauty pageants now be seen as just a big representation of the community and just a fun, really glamorous night of fantasy? Pageant contestants and winners are not just vapid morons. And the people who participate in that world are not all trad wives adhering to the male gaze. However, again, those people do exist. But much like with sports, religion, politics, professions, one person does not represent the community. So, again, just to go back, if you're going to put pressure on child pageants, put pressure on rules to protect child stars and child athletes. If you are going to not have an opinion on pageants and not like them, then refrain from commenting on who wins and what you think of that. Again, I don't really care for football. I don't care who wins the Super Bowl. If people ask me what I thought of it, I liked Usher's performance. Why can't we bring that energy to beauty pageants? Because literally all they do is show a picture of the contestant and people go, well, her hair's too short. Ew. If you do like pageants and want to change the narrative, welcome anybody with open arms, and also understand that a lot of these larger beauty pageant winners do so much more work than just getting eyelash extensions and their teeth whitened. I mean, that is part of it, but it's also so much more. Again, this is a discussion. My opinions are not concrete. My opinions don't have to matter, but this is YouTube and I can say whatever I want on my channel. And this is just my opinion piece on pageants. I think Sandra Bullock did a great job of representing the positivity and the sisterhood of beauty pageants.
And I really do want world peace.
I mean, I could just honestly keep talking about it, but I know y'all are probably tired of hearing me rant. So please give a like. I know this topic's very polarizing and a lot of people aren't going to agree with me. So give a like for at least the effort I put into it, and a subscribe for more topics. And again, comment and feel free to say anything you want about beauty pageants. Maybe you had an amazing experience. Maybe you had trauma, kind of like, I mean, as great as mine was, I still think of grown adults talking to me in public at Walmart, telling me I shouldn't have won while I'm just trying to buy an NSYNC CD with my boyfriend. Like, okay. Anywho's will be. I will see y'all all soon.